Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafting Kindness. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a different project today. I am going to be using these three micas from EyeCandy. The Amodori and the Kiji are color shifting, and the Nebula green isn't technically under EyeCandy's color shifting pigments. However, it does actually have a bit of color shifting going on with green to gold. It's beautiful. So what I'm going to be doing today is using a 1-to-1 resin, just a regular resin. It's from NicPro. And I'm going to be making a stackable, like, trinket tray kind of box. So each section here just has a little tray in it, a little box, and they all stack on top of each other, and then it has that nice top. So this is something quite different than the typical trays or balloons and things like that I'm doing the coasters. And I'm starting to work on some more of these kinds of projects right now because I have a craft fair coming up and I want to make some more functional items that I think will sell a bit better. And so I love the design of this lid. It has these sections of geometric design. And so what I'm going to do, instead of just pour resin in it, I'm actually going to dry paint on some of the mica. And so what you'll see me do is I'll show you my really tiny, teeny brush, and I literally just kind of dry brush on each of the colors every third segment. So the colors will kind of go around. And my hope is that you see a bit of a different effect from dry brushing versus mixing the mica and resin, which will pour into the little trays or boxes for the rest of the mold. So I'm really kind of excited about this. Color shifting mica does look really best. It stands out best against a black background. And so when I mix up resin to eventually put in the lid of the mold, I'm going to mix it up as black. And we'll do that a little bit later on in the video. So for now, what I'm going to be doing is just showing you how I'm going to be dry brushing or dry painting the mica into the lid on the different sections. So enjoy watching this. It's really pretty to watch it kind of go on to the mold. And I did want to mention real quick that this mold I just got from Temu. It's also available on Amazon, so I'll link both of those down in the description. And they're really easy to access, and you can stack as many of those little box sections as much as you want. So I'm making a set of 3 with the lid, and I think that's a nice size that I don't have to charge too much for, but it's a good usable size for somebody to buy as a gift or use on their own. So I'm also going to be just showing you kind of later on just how to kind of get bubbles out of these kinds of molds, because when you pour resin in, they get trapped in the little sections pretty easily, and so it gets a little bit tricky. And this was actually my first time doing this mold, so I kind of struggled through it, we'll say. So I'll be showing you that too. But for now, just watch and enjoy me dry brushing a little bit of this beautiful color shifting mica on the top of this mold. Okay, we are ready to start pouring some resin. So as I told you before, color shifting looks best against the black. And so I'm going to use black and then also two of these EyeCandy interference powders. So they're both the Glimmer series of the ghost powders. So Glimmer has a bit more sparkle to it. And then the Galactic series has a ton of sparkle. So you could already see by me dumping in some of that interference powder how beautiful that looks on top of that black resin. It's so amazing. So I figured this would just give an extra kind of sparkle and shimmer and color to the micas that we've already dry brushed on to the lid of the resin, against the mold. So I am gonna just slowly pour this resin in here, and it is important that you kind of pour slowly because it reduces the amount of bubbles. And as you can see here, I'm using my stir stick to kind of get those big bubbles out of the edges there. And, you know, it's tricky. You see me spill a couple of times. You have to fill it up enough that it gets to the top edge there. But yeah, I just use my popsicle stick to scoot that around the edges there, to get those bubbles out, because you don't want those rough holes essentially when you unmold. And so pour slowly. It reduces the amount of air bubbles that get trapped in there. And then take your popsicle stick. You can even see me doing that here in this first layer of the box, and kind of, you know, use it to pop some air bubbles on the side of this, but most definitely also get the ones, you know, on the edges, the top edges, where there's going to be a crease, because those are the parts really that, you know, people are going to be picking up. Like when you pick up this kind of Trinket box, you pick up each layer, and that's, your fingers are going to be on the edge. And when those air pockets are there, you can definitely do a really good job sanding them down and buffing them down, but they're sharp. So you don't want somebody to kind of nick their finger on it and give it a little cut or something, for sure. So you want to just, you know, reduce the amount of bubbles so you don't get those air pockets that turn hard and kind of sharp around the edges. And that in and of itself reduces the amount of work you have to do after unmolding as far as sanding and buffing those down. So that first layer I poured the Amodori. This second one is the Kiji, and this is one of my favorite color shifting micas from EyeCandy. It is this gorgeous green, blue, turquoise, you know, color shifting beauty. I don't even know how to describe it. Did you see that? I was at a loss for words. But depending on what angle you have it on, it's green, or it's blue, or it's turquoise, or it's all in one. It's so awesome. So this is a super popular mica from EyeCandy. And I, of course, will link everything down below. But don't forget that using my code CraftingKindness, you can get 10% off your orders from EyeCandy directly. So people have asked me before, and you can't use those coupon codes off Amazon when you buy from EyeCandy. You have to go to EyeCandy Pigments website to use that coupon code. So yeah, that's pretty common amongst most of these companies where you have affiliate links. So yeah. So you'll see me continue to kind of mix up the third layer with the Nebula green and pop the air bubbles, slide my stir stick around the edges, and then finish filling it up towards the end. And then we'll be ready for demolding. So I will see you back, and well, really just real soon on your end. I'm so excited to take these out. It's a little less suspenseful taking these out because we can already see what it kind of looks like from the top edge. But nonetheless, these are beautiful pigment colors, and I love the way that they've dried and set up. So another thing to mention is you kind of saw me struggle, and you'll see it here again, to get these little pieces of the edge off. And that is because I torched too closely and or too long to that mold edge. So just a reminder to be super duper careful when you're torching to pop air bubbles. A lot of people say not to torch, and they might spray like 99% isopropyl alcohol on it instead. While I've never tried that, I've been kind of nervous to try spraying the alcohol on top of my newly designed resin pieces because I was afraid it would ruin the design. But maybe I'm wrong, but it just makes me a little nervous. So, but that does mean that by using a torch, you do have to be extra careful because, as you saw, the mold will fuse and melt to that resin. So, I'll have to take some extra care in kind of sanding that down with my Dremel and kind of putting a little top coat on that to shine it back up. So, wow. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at this lid. That is so cool. That is the fun part of this demolding. Oh my gosh, that Nebula green really turned gold and against that black background. So it again, it's not color shifting truly, and that's probably why this is not in EyeCandy's color shifting pigments section of their page, and it's just in the green. But see, it turned completely gold, and it is still beautiful. It shimmers beautifully, but you can tell from these videos that Amodori, that shifting from blues to purples to violets, is gorgeous, and that Kiji, you can tell from different angles, looks green, a blue or teal or cyan. It's amazing. So it is so cool to see that dry brushing effect and how much smoother that looks against the silicone mold. And we also get a lot more of the color shifting properties against that black background that we poured in the lid versus the individual layers of mica that we mixed into the resin on the layers. So overall, such a gorgeous piece, something different again. And I really appreciate you joining me again for another episode here. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.